All right, joining us now is Dr. Vanila Singh, clinical professor at Stanford School of Medicine and former chief medical officer with the Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Singh, as always, good to get you on.
Great to be here, Alex. Thank you.
All right, we are talking about yet another COVID-19 vaccine that is about to come online here in this country. On Friday, late in the day, that FDA advisory panel gave the green light for emergency use authorization for Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine, a huge step forward to getting more doses out to the public in this country. This essentially means that it's a go, and we're going to have a third vaccine here in short order, right?
Yes, absolutely. I feel the same exciting feeling that we felt the last couple times with the imminent approval from the FDA for emergency use authorization of our third vaccine from the United States. This is the Johnson & Johnson much anticipated single dose vaccine. And I think that this poses just more good news, better chances against the fight against COVID-19, and really showcases that we've found a great path forward logistically and also with a vaccine that has a different mechanism of action. And so I think this is just all in all great news.
I think a lot of people obviously are focusing on the key fact that the Johnson and Johnson vaccine is a single dose, and a lot of people feel like that is a game changer. Just in terms of how you can really ramp up distribution of the vaccine and get it out to so many more people in a shorter amount of time, which is really what we're trying to do here, right? So how much does the single dose vaccine change the equation of trying to get protection for a majority of people in the country?
Yeah, so the single dose vaccine makes the logistics of providing this vaccine with the conferred immunity that much simpler. We know, as you've reported so many times, that the double dose, this vaccine, having to have a second dose in the beginning, especially, caused a lot of issues with how much vaccine do we save and how many people are we not getting actually into the fold of getting a vaccine. The Johnson & Johnson single dose definitely gets around that. It is straightforward. The number of vaccines are the number of people who get to be vaccinated. The other really important thing that a lot of folks are mentioning is the fact that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is much more stable at refrigerator doses. So people can put it in the regular refrigerator, hospitals, clinics, and other entities that are providing it like CVS and Walgreens, and they can know with great certainty that the vaccine will have a long shelf life at that temperature. But if it's put at even -4 degrees, we're talking a couple of years. So I think those two things are really, really important news.
Yeah, the temperatures that it can be stored at not those extremely cold temperatures like Pfizer and Moderna. That really helps quite a bit in terms of distribution. So with that being said, which groups do you see? Who benefits the most from the single shot? Like who, is this going to be the shot that sort of the broader population is likely to get at a walk-in location, at a CVS, at a pharmacy, or that sort of thing? Is that what
Yeah,
you would
that's
envision?
a really good point, Alex. Actually, for the general public and the broader population, one, as we increase the number of categories of people who can get the vaccine, this presents a great ease. Again, it makes the independent and retail pharmacies much more able to provide this to the larger public. We know there's a great demand that has been showcased. I think that has increased because, generally speaking, the vaccines have been very well tolerated, and more and more folks are starting to really trust it and appreciate, because the COVID pandemic remains a big issue. They appreciate that it is actually a good idea to get vaccinated. So I think it makes it easier for those. Maybe it also makes it easier for folks who are traveling from farther distances to not have to show up a second time. The logistics of this are, I'm sure, being imagined by the hospital systems and the clinics that can provide this to
Yeah,
those folks who have a little bit more challenge.
certainly seems like it streamlines the process for a lot of folks to get the shot. Okay, but let's talk about kind of the other aspect of the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, which is the fact that it does have an overall lower efficacy rate. It's 86% effective at preventing severe cases of COVID-19. It's about 10%, correct me if I'm wrong, 10% or so lower than the Pfizer and Moderna. Why is the efficacy rate lower, do we think, and how concerned should we be about that? Is that a problem?
Yeah, so that's a great point. You're right on. I mean, generally speaking, the Moderna and Pfizer are both considered to be about 95% effective against severe disease, which means people can likely avoid hospitalizations, ICU care, and even death. So that's why that's such a big number. 86% and 82% for the South African variant. These are still very high numbers. If you think about the efficacy of the flu vaccine, it's still not in this range, and this is still considered a high success. We're probably spoiled with the numbers that we got straight out from the mRNA vaccines, but this is still highly successful. It still meets the goal and mission to really try to curb the disease. It is less effective, relatively speaking, but it's still a very important vaccine that certainly I think healthcare workers and those scientists would gladly take.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you stand back and look big picture, 86% efficacy is pretty good, as you point out. But do you think there is going? Unfortunately, we do have issues already with vaccine hesitancy, and different different people have different reasons for feeling skeptical or feeling hesitant about taking the vaccine. Should we have any concerns? And do you think that from a public health standpoint, there needs to be messaging around making sure people don't look at the Johnson and Johnson vaccine as somehow an inferior vaccine and turn it down, because we certainly don't want people turning down a dose of a COVID-19 vaccine at this point.
Absolutely. The understanding from the general public and the message that gets out there is going to be really important, which is why, I wanted to say that scientists, myself included, would happily take the Johnson and Johnson vaccine. I know people have sat there and said, "Oh, I'm going to get the Moderna or the Pfizer." To me, it was, what's the first vaccine I can get and how soon can we get it? And I think that's really the most important thing, because the benefit of vaccinations isn't just on an individual basis. It is on the larger scale population basis. So when all of us are getting some vaccination that allows us to have a better defense system against this virus, we all benefit greatly, because it definitely slows down the transmission, because most people will be able to fight the virus. It'll never take hold, and therefore they won't spread it. And that has an exponential effect. So I would tell people in no uncertain terms that take the vaccine for what the clinical trials, the large 45,000 phase 3 clinical trials have showcased. And also know that we always have to be cautious. I can promise you that folks are going to be watching this very closely, whether you're a layperson or a scientist, because the glare is on. People are paying attention to this issue, and we'll learn very quickly if there's any more issues. But I think, if nothing else, perhaps Johnson and Johnson, if the need is demonstrated, they'll likely be coming up with a booster if we find a seasonal need for it or other reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So stepping back, big picture look at where we are. It's essentially 1 year since this pandemic began in this country, and we now have three vaccines. It would appear, with Johnson and Johnson coming online, three vaccines being distributed in this country to protect against COVID-19. Millions of people have already received their shots and are protected already. When you look at how far we have come in just that 1 year, how remarkable is that progress to you?
It has been an incredible pandemic to witness, from a very humbling perspective in terms of the virus and the disease, but definitely from a scientific, innovative, and advanced perspective. We have seen leaps and bounds made in just this last 1 year that really put us ahead of the curve in terms of the understanding of viruses and the treatments for them. This has been a paradigm shift. I have felt that for the last several months, just watching in great amazement the rapid acceleration that both the private sector and the public sector have brought to bear. And we will be better for it going forward, regardless, with infectious disease, in terms of how to mount large scale efforts to fight off disease issues, but even other logistical issues to help people and get things to bear. So this has been a tremendous, amazing moment for our nation. And, I'm very happy to see that we continue to fight.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is remarkable how far we've come in just that 1 year. All right, Dr. Vanila Singh, professor at Stanford School of Medicine, former chief medical officer with the Department of Health and Human Services. Thanks as always for your time.
Great to be here again. Thank you.